This is an Off the Tongue podcast.
Hey everybody, Doug.
Greg.
And this is Mike.
And we are the It's Funny That Makes It Okay podcast, part of the Off the Tongue podcast network. And who else might be on the Off the Tongue podcast network, you might ask? Well, you got the Greener Grass podcast. We got Teach a Dummy, Skate Ohio, the original Copycats, and Pint Pals podcast. So make sure to check all them out and give us a listen as well. Hey, welcome everybody to the show. Thanks for tuning in, even though we're not sure if we even have anything for you today. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we don't.
Just kidding.
And the people rejoiced.
Yes, this is going to be an hour of silence.
Just you take a nap.
Yeah.
Relax.
We could put some soothing ocean sounds or something like that. Yeah.
That sounded a little more like wind.
Wind, yeah. I felt wind.
I can't do ocean sound.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I have no idea how we got off onto that tangent. Anyway, today we are going to start off with a couple things right off the front, off the top or the front, however you want to look at it.
This could be the front.
Good to be the front.
At least on my, on the recording, it is on the front end.
It is on the front end. That is true. We're going to talk some unwritten rules of bed and breakfast, unwritten rules of sports, unwritten rules of life. Do you like them?
Are there unwritten rules for unwritten rules?
There might be. And then it's going to seem, now it's only going to seem this way. It's going to seem like we're picking on Gen Z, but we're not. Maybe we are, but it's not meant to necessarily be that. We got a couple stories involving Gen Z and Gen X and millennials. So the only ones are spared.
The boomers get left out this week?
The boomers are
I may
spared.
as well leave.
We'll usually check out anyway, so
True.
take your nap.
True.
So no, so we'll see. I think the boomers are gonna. They may stay unscathed, but we've got a few things talking about. Can Gen X manage or even relate to Gen Z? Is Gen Z any kind of a worthwhile workforce? And millennials think that they know how to shape Gen Z and Gen X into some kind of a working form. So we'll see. We'll see if they do or not.
I'm glad I'm unscathed. I hate being scathed.
Yes, it hurts.
Yeah.
Got to put some lotion or salve or something on that.
Scathing lotion.
All right. Well, I got a couple things right up front. I'll go ahead and jump in here. The first one, now this is going to start off and sound sexist.
So you got the Gen Z, now you're being sexist on top of it.
Yeah. So just relax. You got to listen to the whole thing. And maybe it is sexist. I don't know. This was actually brought up by my wife. But I'll feel free to direct all your hate mail at me. I'm fine. I've got broad shoulders. We were talking a few weeks ago about a story where a woman put on Facebook that she had found a VCR tape in her husband's drawer and wanted a recorder to see if it was precious family memories or something else.
Or just his memories.
And we were talking about that. Should you snoop? Should you not? What are you doing with this? My wife, we were talking about that because she listened to the episode, I think to check up on me mainly to see what I'm doing, talking about. And we were talking about that. I would never snoop in your drawers. I wouldn't snoop around looking at it. And she told me, and totally said, she goes, "Oh, I totally would." I said, "You would snoop?" She goes, "Oh yeah." She goes, "I would snoop." She goes, and she said, "I think women are more nosy than men. I think they snoop. They want to know what's going on." So, do you think that my wife is right or wrong? I'll tell you what I think. I don't know if necessarily women are more nosy. I think men would like to be a little nosy at times, or even some gossip. But here's the thing, my opinion, speaking strictly for me, and I'm going to broad brush
don't speak
everybody.
for me.
I'm going to broad brush everybody. I think the thing that keeps men from being nosy is that if I dig into something or I start looking or picking at something, it's going to involve me having to probably discuss feelings and get involved in a deep conversation, which, to be honest, I try to avoid all feelings and any deep conversations at all times.
Well, that's what the
I
box
do not
is
want to
for.
get, yes, thank you.
Yeah. What are feelings?
I don't want to get involved into a whole thing. I don't want to, and if, you know what, even if I would come across sometimes, look at it like, I don't want to do this. I like blissful ignorance. I got to be honest. I just like rolling along. Just happy, fat, dumb, and happy.
Have you ever said anything and go, "Oh, Why did I say that?
Oh, many times. As I'm saying it, my brain's like, shut up, stop talking. And my mouth is just blah, 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 blah. Like, no.
I'm done.
Oh, no. And then I'm like, what am I going to do? And my brain's like, I'm checking out. I told you to shut up. Like, oh, no, I got nothing. Now I've started a whole conversation on a Friday. That's always a Friday. It's because we're going into the weekend with this now. So, I don't know. What do you think? Are women more? I think they tend to be a little more nosy, or they tend to want to know more.
I'd say one. No, because like with Lori, I don't feel like she's nosy, but she does like to know things. It's not really.
It's a little nosy.
No, I don't think it's nosiness. I think there's a difference. I can't put a finger on it, but there's a difference.
Here's the thing. I can look at something and I could find something and say, oh, look at that. And that's there. And that would be the end of it. But I think
they want more details.
I was just going to say, women want to start digging in. Wow. Why did you do that? Why would you keep this? Well, what is this for? Does it have some sentimental? Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe I forgot about it. Or maybe I'm just lazy and I didn't feel like throwing it out. Maybe it has nothing to do with anything. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Mike, you probably haven't been, I don't know if you've been married long enough to really jump in with both hands, so to speak, and just really root around, get yourself in all kinds of trouble. But
I don't know. I to kind of summarize what you said earlier, I think ignorance is bliss. So most of the time I'm happy to just go on my merry way.
I'm going to relate this. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was saying I'm totally content in my own lane, and I don't like opening the can of worms because you may or may not like what you find.
I'll relate this with this way. So for guys, so if let's say that the nosiness, the snoopiness is all in a big lake, we kind of I'd like to be like on the shore, maybe in a boat, and I just have a little lure and I'll throw it out and I catch a little thing. Look at there. I caught a little. Oh, that's interesting. Now I'll keep that.
Yeah.
Now my wife, and I think women in general, again, broad brushing. I'll just say, I know this is sexist. I think they like to go like noodling. They want to jump in the water, put both hands down in the hole and grab, what is this? Oh, put it on. Yeah, get it. And then drag it up on the shore. I got it. And they're going to explore every hole in that lake until they find something. They're going to find that fish.
Now, I will say to my point earlier, there are topics, I actually may find intriguing. I may want to know a little bit more about certain topics, but
would you ask would you be more prone to ask your wife about these, or would you be more prone to just, that's not that important?
Most of the time, it's just, I don't care as much. Yeah. And if I find out about it secondhand, yeah, great. But
no, she's more prone to ask me about it. That's the order.
Okay.
And sometimes that works out great because I'm oblivious. I mean, sometimes I'm just, just going through life. And sometimes that little reminder is helpful. So that's why it's not nosiness. That's not what I feel. But because like in the instance of the videotape, I don't think anyway, Lori would go be looking for a videotape. Now, my
wife said she would. So
yeah, well, Misha's.
I went home and burned them all. No, I'm just kidding, honey. I'm just kidding.
To CD. I burned them all to CD.
I digitized them for us. They're on the internet now.
They probably were already on the internet. Let's just yeah. So anyway, she brought that up, and I thought that's interesting. That's interesting. I did. Yeah, and but she was also when we had this conversation a long time ago, and now she's going to say, "Why are you bringing this up again?" Well, we were talking about if you spent a certain amount of money, what dollar amount would you feel compelled to talk to your spouse about it? And mine was $100, and hers was no amount. She would never talk to me about. Like, so you would not tell me anything. I'm supposed to tell you everything. So, yeah, that's how that works.
Just different personalities, I think.
Yeah. Again, nothing wrong. I think it just shows, in general, how men and women are we're just different, and that's good.
Yeah.
It makes for an interesting life sometimes.
This has nothing to do with being nosy, but it cracked me up. I was out at my grandson's ball games this weekend, and there was a couple in front of me leaving the dome that we were in. And the gal was carrying a baby, like 2 chairs, and the guy was carrying like a drink. It's like she's pack muling and he's got nothing. He goes out the door in front of her, lets go of it, and it hits her. And she goes, thanks. And he's like, what? And she goes, the door. And he goes, well, he started to try to argue with her, and then I could tell he sensed that defeat, and he goes, what am I supposed to do? And he didn't know what to say. He was dead.
Okay.
I know when he got to the car, he was a dead man.
Well, he should be. I'm going to stick up for his wife. He should be.
Oh, he should be.
Because the way I was raised, like if we go anywhere, I try to carry as much as I can, so my wife is only carrying the drink in her 72 different bags that she takes everywhere. I'll carry 35 of her bags and then our chairs and everything else. But
I told you this, Greg. Well, you told me that story.
Yes.
But I have a gripe now because you brought this up.
Oh, man. Is this an addendum to your gripes?
Oh, no. This is just
this is a
separate
fresh gripe.
This
All
is
right.
right off the noggin right here.
Ooh, fresh gripes.
I'm actually going to gripe about my wife.
Ooh.
I'm doing it.
I've got it recorded.
And
we're good.
Yeah, we're good. So and she knows, because I mention this every time this happens to her.
There may be 2.5 minutes of silence, and we get down to it when Mike realized, what did I do?
No.
Greg, you're going to erase it. No.
You know that thing you said about saying something before your brain?
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I told Greg this over the weekend, and Courtney was right there, and she nodded yes to everything. Yeah, she confirmed everything. What I hate, when we go to the grocery store together or something, and we're out and about, and we've got bags of groceries, inevitably, somehow, Courtney will always pick up all the bags of groceries before I can get the wallet put away or whatever, the keys fished out of my pocket. She will not let me take a single bag.
See, that's the man's job. I'm with you on this, Mike.
And I hate it because I look around and I was like, every single person in this store, wherever we are, they are judging me right now. That's what I think.
Well, the women are judging. The other guys are going, how does he do that?
Or they're thinking, oh, he's going to get in big trouble later.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Courtney makes a thing out of it. She laughs, and I'm like, give me a bag. I was like, just let me take a bag.
Okay, here's some toilet paper.
Yeah, and
You get the receipt.
yeah.
Now, granted, the receipt is 75 feet long.
Yeah, you shared
bunch it
that
all
the
up,
other day.
but still.
Yes. And I hate it because she does it to me on purpose now. Now it's like a running thing because I made a big deal out of it, and she's like, well, now it's going to be the way it is.
I'm with you, Mike. I agree. Courtney, you have to let Mike get the bag. That's our job as a man. That makes us a man. Going out of there. Because I will secretly judge other men when I look at that guy.
Yeah. Well, it's like the guy with the door.
Making his wife carry everything.
Yeah.
Pathetic.
She's hauling stuff, and he goes out in front of her and lets it go.
Well, if you're going out in front, then you have to, at minimum, you have to hold the door.
He didn't. Yes. At that point, you should just run.
If you're holding just one drink, which is yours, it's not even her drink, and you go out and you let the door shut.
You could hear the tone in her voice, and you could hear the tone in his voice. He knew.
I agree with her. I hope she let him have it.
Yeah, I'm sure she did.
Mike, this could be maybe one of your unwritten rules of shopping. We're going to talk about those. Maybe that gets put on. I might have to adopt it if it's okay from you to put it on my list because I don't have that. That's a great one.
We have to pass this rule. This rule has to be written down. So we have to adopt this one.
Yes. Then it becomes a written rule.
Well, that's fine.
We might debate that. Yeah. What's the difference? So, all right. The other thing I have real quick is I know somebody who says their boss will tell them stuff like, hey, we're going to cut out early today. My question to you, how much time before you normally get off does that have to move before so that he can or she can say you're getting off early? What would qualify as getting off early?
I would say minimum an hour.
I was going to say 2 hours.
I was saying minimum hour.
Minimum.
Now, this person said, the boss has said before, hey, I think we'll cut out early today. And then 15 minutes till the time, like, well, if you guys want to start, I was like, what's the point? I didn't get out anything. You can't say you're going to, hey, we might cut out early today, and then we get to 15 minutes before.
Well, I think the key word there was might. We might cut out early today, but we might not.
But then to do it so I asked, I said, so were you real busy? No, they said nobody was busy. They just didn't like the and they're the boss. Like you could go and people like come and go as you want. I mean, it's a lot of people even work from home and they're like, I think a couple hours, but I think a minimum an hour. A
would be
minimum.
good.
That's
That's
the starting
the bare
point.
minimum.
Yes.
Because that still feels good. An hour.
An hour.
You
an
can
hour. It's
you
still
can do
like,
a lot with an hour.
I can
yeah.
get my yard mowed in an hour. Like boom, I get home, yard's mowed now. I get done. It's
That's
like,
if
I
your
would just be
mower
getting home.
starts and you have.
It's not 187 degrees. The dog hasn't dug 18 holes that I got to fill in first. Okay, those are personal gripes. So, anyway, that was it that's all I had. I didn't want to. I kind of took a little longer than normal, but go ahead.
I've got something real quick.
Go ahead, do yours. Mine's
just
short.
Mine is a phrase that people use that I hate it because it pops up all the time.
Yep.
The phrase is "break the internet" or "this person broke the internet." So, no, I hate it.
The internet's been broken so many times. I'm surprised it even works. I mean,
I know. It's just like for every headline, and it's always like, I don't know. For me, it's mostly sports things. Tom Brady broke the internet with his joke at his roast. It's like, okay, well, let me look at the joke. Hey, how about that deflate gate? It's like, what about that broke the internet? What?
And what do they mean broke the internet? I mean, I can still get on the internet. I don't know what they're.
Yeah,
it just was a lot of people were talking about it.
Or some tweet would be like, this person Elon Musk broke the internet with this tweet. And it's like, it's got like 5,000 likes. It's like,
Yeah.
what?
I think it stems from old days when there was only so much bandwidth and something big would hit and it would shut
Crash
down.
that website
it would just
or
like
whatever.
crash something.
But
But
we've-
it's beyond
We're
that. Nobody
long
breaks.
past that now.
Yes.
The internet is not a thing in which a fuse is blown or something. You know,
No.
we don't break it anymore. And it's so overused. I hate it. It drives me nuts. Breaks the internet
I
for
hate-
what?
yeah,
3,000 likes?
I've never
Who
liked
cares?
that phrase.
I hate it. I hate it. So
I
stop
agree.
using it.
I agree. Another unwritten rule: don't use breaks the internet.
Yes.
And don't break the internet.
No, please.
It's Funny Podcast breaks the internet.
Yes. 17 likes. Took it down.
Oh, geez.
Well, that's all.
Our podcast might break the internet.
Well, this is true.
Never know. So, well, mine is this week is I'm griping about not having a gripe. The last 2 weeks, I've had no gripe, and I can't stand it. And the reason I have no gripe is because I sit in the office all day, and I don't get exposed to people and things that gripe me.
Is this a bad thing? Or
It is. I need to be out amongst the people and be griped. I'm like, it's like I need to be fed so I can gripe.
Oh.
It's because it's funny because I was sitting at dinner with Lori and I go, I don't really have a gripe tonight. And she goes, well, has anything, bothered you this week? And I'm like, no. And she's like, well, maybe that's your gripe. And I'm like, good point.
Yeah.
I don't know. I personally don't hear a problem, but
I think it's a problem. I need something to gripe about. I'm old. I'm
man,
old.
He wants to yell at the
Yes.
clouds.
There's no
but
kids
there's no
on my
clouds.
lawn.
There's no clowns.
There's nothing. I got nothing to gripe about. And it should be a good thing. I mean, in life, that should be a good thing. But
I agree.
I need something to gripe about. So that's my gripe.
Okay.
And the
Duly
fact
noted.
that I have a sinusy cold thing going on. So there's that.
Noted. We will put it in the big book of gripes.
Of non-gripes. The gripe of non-gripes. All right.
All right, done?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I saw this article, and it triggered a bunch of thoughts in my head. So it said the unwritten rules of bed and breakfast stays, according to B&B owners and experts. So my first, you see unwritten rules a lot, especially more with sports, but I've seen it with other things. Before we get into it, I kind of was wanting your guys, what's your feeling on unwritten rules? Like when they say unwritten rules with sports or with whatever, how do you feel about that? Do you like the unwritten rules? You don't like them? You're indifferent? Don't really care?
Most of the time, I'm going to be honest, I'm not a big fan of the unwritten rules. Especially in sports, that's a lot of the context I get them from. And I just, to be honest with you, I don't care for them.
Yeah.
I'm thinking in baseball, hey, you shouldn't be dumping that many runs. Stop me. If you don't like me, who cares? I don't care about some unwritten rule book.
Yep.
You know, you don't want me to swing at a 3-0 pitch, then don't throw me 3 balls. I don't know what to tell you. Not my problem you threw me 3 bad pitches. You know, I just don't care for him that much.
I'm thinking.
If they were that...
I got mine right off the head.
Go ahead. 'Cause
go ahead.
I've got a thought I'm trying to formulate here.
I have one final point on this.
Go ahead.
If they were that important, they'd be written down. That's all I'm saying.
Mike, you took almost my exact sentiment. I have never liked unwritten rules. I don't like them. Same thought. If it's important, make it a written rule. If it's unwritten, it's not a rule. You may not like it, but same thing, like I'm a football fan. They'll say, oh, they're running up the score. Stop them. You know what?
Yeah.
Have your defense actually stop somebody. Stop the run. Stop the pass. Tackle the quarterback. How about you get 3 downs and force a punt? Quit letting the other team run up and down the field. If they can score 87 points, they should score 87 points. Be better. Mm-hmm. Or you know what? Maybe if you lose horribly and get embarrassed, well, maybe that'll cause some changes then.
So what's the unwritten rule there?
You're not supposed to run up the score.
Oh.
You know, you're not supposed to kick the field goal. You're not supposed to take timeouts if you're why? If they get 3 timeouts, if they get, you know what?
True.
Be
True.
better.
I'll buy that. I've never been
Be better.
Yeah.
But that's me. If it's important, it's a rule. If it's not a rule, then there's nothing that says you have to abide by that.
Of course, I'm mixed on this one because I can see there's both. I like things clearly communicated and I like specific rules about things. But I also, there's instances, not even so much with sports, but in just life. It's like, have some common sense. Do I have to write everything down for you? Sometimes there's not a written rule. You need to figure it out. I don't know. I think that's part of we've lost some common sense because we've got to have everything written down. Everything has to be spelled out for us. How about common sense?
Well, I think you can have common sense and...
Well, then why do you need a rule for something then? That's not a clearly...
Well, no, I think we're almost attacking the same angle here. What we're trying to say is because something is unwritten doesn't mean it has to be a written rule either.
But you're saying that
the
rule needs to be written, though, right?
No. I'm saying if the rule stinks and it's unwritten, we don't need to write it at all. Period. It doesn't need to exist, unwritten or written. I'm
trying to think of an example. Like if you have an unwritten rule, but it's just a common sense thing.
Then we don't need to write it.
Yeah.
Like it shouldn't matter if it's easy enough to comprehend, like what Doug's saying, just in sports, make a stop. Tackle. You know, that is common sense enough. We don't need an unwritten rule to not run up the score.
Yeah.
I think we're attacking the same angle here. Maybe.
Maybe.
But I think too it's a little different if you have sports or a game rather than, real life unwritten rules, which I kind of wrote down that unwritten rules
kind of what I'm thinking.
Used to be just common courtesy.
Yeah.
It's just I have common courtesy to put my grocery cart away. Don't just leave it sitting in the parking lot. That's the unwritten rule of grocery. No, that's common courtesy.
Yes. And
that's not being selfish. Like, I'm done with this. I'm going to just launch it, and who cares what happens?
And you shouldn't need a written rule for that.
You shouldn't.
Well, yeah.
I agree.
Nowadays, you do.
But anyway, we'll get back into that. But I just was kind of wanting to see where everybody was at. So, interesting. Anyway, this article talks about some of the unwritten rules of bed and breakfast. You ever stayed at a bed and breakfast?
No.
No, I have not.
I stayed at an Airbnb, but not a bed and breakfast. I have
stayed at a bed and breakfast.
I can't stay with other people.
Now, this one, we were the only ones there. But there were you could have had it. It was my wedding night. So we had, as a gift, somebody
even worse time to stay with other people.
Somebody rented the whole place for us. So we had the whole place.
Oh.
But still.
Except for Mom and Pa that own it.
Probably. I don't know. But they have these unwritten rules.
Farms.
Unwritten rules of the bed and breakfast. So the first one, it's like, be mindful of other guests. Again, it says, don't make extra noise. These are unwritten rules. Again, common courtesies.
What?
I shouldn't be screaming and hollering. So it says, be mindful.
How is that an unwritten rule?
Yeah. Make sure
That's like rule
you're
number
being,
one.
Make sure you're being considerate of those around you. Again, these should not be unwritten. It should be common courtesies. So that's one. 2, it says if you go to a bed and breakfast, take advantage of the breakfast aspect of a bed and breakfast. One of the best parts of staying at a bed and breakfast is knowing you'll wake up to freshly prepared home-cooked meal each morning. You won't have to jump in the car and walk down the hall to get it. Now, I said I stayed in one, and I'm going to throw breakfast in quotes, air quotes. Okay, we got Pop-Tart. It was fine. No, I would have loved a Pop-Tart. We got like a basket with a lot of fresh fruit and a couple little muffins, but it's like
that's not breakfast.
That's kind of what I was thinking. I'm like, this isn't really breakfast. I mean, I'm thinking I want bacon and sausage and eggs, and I want a breakfast if we're going to have breakfast. If you're going to call yourself bed and breakfast, otherwise call it
breakfast is part of the name,
bed and fruit or something. So I know in my mind what to expect, because you throw breakfast out there. I'm thinking, I'm getting hash browns and fried eggs with some.
In every
sausage.
movie I've seen about bed and breakfast, there's full breakfast. Like there's always a group of people sitting around the table and a huge breakfast and awkward conversations. And,
no, you know what? I take that back. I've stayed at 2 bed and breakfasts. One was out in Idaho. I forgot about that one. And we just stayed at it because I was traveling when we found it and decided to stay. It was a beautiful place right on about 50 miles from the Grand Tetons. They were just off in the distance. River going through the backyard. It's gorgeous, but it is a little weird. People are just sitting around and things. And we're going to get back to that too, because that's one of the unwritten rules. Here is where it really goes off the rails for me. Okay, they said ask recommendations. Okay, that one I get. Because you can, if you're going to be staying somewhere and you're out of town, if the people live there, they could maybe give you some recommendations of some places. I see that as a positive. Okay, I get that one. Where should I go eat? What's something to do? Hey, I don't want touristy stuff, or I don't want a franchise restaurant. Is there a good local place that has some specials or something? Great. And I do that even when we go, like at hotels or.
Oh yeah, I love to go to local
VRBO,
places.
I'll ask I'll message the people and like, hey, what are some, if it's a place I haven't been before, like, what is there good to eat or something I should see? Now this next one, I really have to take umbrage with. It says, when staying at a B&B, you'll likely run into other guests during breakfast and when hanging out in common spaces. Don't be afraid to make new friends. Like, look, my friend list is full. I don't go on vacation to make new friends. I'm not trying to be jerky necessarily, but I'm usually there with my wife. I don't need to hey, here's this couple. Let's just meet with them and then we'll go eat somewhere. It's like, no, kind of already. I'm good. That's me. Now, maybe some people love that. They go and they enjoy themselves.
I don't think I've ever made any friends on vacation. Probably some enemies, but I'm not sure about friends.
And that was your wife.
Well,
it says stop for a chat on the front porch or invite someone to your game of cards by the living room fireplace. Like, no, I'm not paying that much money to go sit and play bridge by the fireplace or pinochle. It's like, look, usually when I go out, I want to go, let's go and enjoy wherever we're at. Let's see what's going on. Let's go do some stuff. I can play cards at home.
Yeah. I mean, if there were people there, I would be friendly, but I wouldn't want to develop friendship.
How you doing? Yeah, good weather. Okay. Outside of those 3 things, okay, you're getting too intrusive now, buddy. This is my personal space. You need to back it up.
Just see my COVID noodle at 6 feet.
That's right.
You stay outside that area.
Let's see. This is soak in the full experience. So it's just telling you, just enjoy the home, because a lot of times they're historical homes or whatnot. Make yourself at home. This is where, again, another one. This is why I would stay away from bed and breakfasts. Me personally. While you might not lounge around a hotel lobby in your PJs and slippers, that type of behavior is absolutely expected and encouraged at the bed and breakfast. So just hang out in your pajamas.
You could wear your flip-flops down there.
You could.
Look at everybody's feet.
Do we need to encourage people to do that? Because I think we need to discourage that, because I see people in their pajamas at Walmart. I don't need to.
They just came from the
bed and breakfast.
I don't need
to make them more comfortable and hanging out in their nasty pajamas down here while I'm trying to eat my little muffin and a little bit of fruit at the breakfast table. And they walk down in their flip flops. I look down at their nasty toes, and I'm like, I'm done. I'm done eating. I don't want to see this. I don't want to see you in your pajamas or your nasty flip flops down there. Just just get dressed.
Get dressed. Come down.
Shorts and a t-shirt, fine, but not your pajamas. So, I don't know. Any thoughts on that before I go on, or?
No, I mean, like I said, I've never stayed in one, so I don't know.
They're different. They are different. Okay, I came up with a few of my own unwritten rules. I don't know if you guys have any. Feel free to jump in whenever. But these were just some things I came up off the fly when I was reading. As I was reading this, I'm like, well, I need some unwritten rules, and I need to write them down. Is what I need.
Well, then they would be written.
What I need to hand them to everybody, because people don't know these. I think that's why we call them unwritten rules, because most people don't know and they don't follow them. Again, this used to be common courtesy. The first thing is, I hate it, and I don't like it when people will ask me for an answer or opinion, ask me a question, but they don't really want my answer. As you're giving it to them, they're like, no, I either want you to parrot what I already think, or I'm going to listen to you, and then I'm going to do the exact opposite of what you say. Like, look, you don't have to listen to me.
Why did you ask?
Yeah, why? Don't ask. I was perfectly happy not even discussing this. Don't ask me the question, and then do 180 degrees opposite of what I'm telling you to do. And some people make a point of it. Like, yeah, I'm not doing that. Like, well, then, just don't do it.
You weren't going to do that before you asked me, were you?
Why would you ask me? We've talked about this before. ATM machines are for quick cash only, not for your monthly banking. You pull up, you get your $20, and you move on. Maybe you can print a receipt. I'll let you, as long as it's quick.
Yeah.
In and out.
I can maneuver through an ATM machine pretty quick, as long as the ATM machine can keep up with me.
Be ready at the cash register. I am amazed at this day and age how many people get to the cash register, wherever it is, Walmart, Kroger's, a gas station, McDonald's, or some other restaurant, and they don't have their wallet. They have no money, their card, nothing. They're just clueless. Like, oh, what's happening? We're doing, yeah.
Mike's got his wallet out, and Courtney's already got the bags.
It's just gone.
Before he can even get the wallet out.
I've already scanned these.
I have my wallet and card out, or money, and as soon as I get the total, boom, I'm tapping the thing or giving them the money, hit the receipt, boom, out, in and out.
Well, we've encountered this many times at McDonald's, where we'll walk up and there'll be somebody standing there looking at the menu, just, well, what's you're in McDonald's, it's a burger.
They have chicken or burger. That's it.
Yeah, pick one.
They'll do that at Chick-fil-A. And they'll have kids. And you know what? We'll be in a long queue line.
What would you like, Johnny? Yeah.
We're at this long queue line. We've been standing there for 5 minutes. Next, please. They get up there. It's like, so what are you thinking about getting, honey? I'm like, oh, no. You got to get out. You got to get out of the line and go to the back. You're just now asking what they're thinking about getting? And it's probably the same thing they get every time. They're like, I want that. It's like, just get the little kid something. He doesn't care.
And then
get
it's
him something.
And then it's, do you have another of the little girl toys? She already has this one. Like, and then you got to go looking, and it's like, yeah, here, I found a French fry on the floor. Leave. Here, have this.
I'm standing. I'm like, I want my McDouble and a large drink, and I'm out. Come on. And the last thing I had is, do not park at a gas pump and go inside and not get gas. That is not your personal private parking spot. It's for getting gas, or you move the freak along.
That one, I think, should be not only written, but be a big placard hanging there.
Especially most of the time, this happened to me today. 4 empty parking spots right up next to the building. They pull up to the gas, stop, go inside. I watch. Now, they come out, no gas. They just get in the vehicle and drive off. I just stand there with my arms out like, what are you doing? What are you doing? All right. Off of the bed and breakfast, I found another, when I was looking up unwritten rules, I found an article by SB Nation Sports. They have 103 official unwritten rules of sports.
Okay, that's just way...
I'm not doing 103, but I wrote down a few of them.
Well, one of my cases in point here of why unwritten rules are a problem. okay, we're documenting 103 unwritten rules. That's way too many.
And this is one website, and there was, tons of websites with all different kinds of
many.
unwritten rules.
It's too many.
Now,
Do you want those all written though, or what?
No, that's not. I'm
Get
not
rid of them.
I'm not saying we have to write them because some of them are so garbage they don't even need to be written. I'm just
Right.
saying if we have 103 that are unwritten, it's too many. There's too many already incorporated into sports. We don't need to be adding that many more.
Agree.
I agree too. I'm just.
And these most
I like
of
to
these,
draw his ire.
most of these are more.
We're still agreeing, I think, at core principles on this.
You're just agreeing in an argumentative way. It
Yeah.
sounds like you're arguing, but it's like I think we're saying the same way.
I think, yeah.
Yes, we are, Mike. It's like having a discussion with your wife sometimes. Like, I don't think we're arguing. It feels like we're arguing.
Then she goes, "Well, am I right?"
You
Yes,
agree with
yes.
me.
Yes, you're right.
Then she flips. Nope.
Counterpoint.
Yeah. So these rules have to do more with playing, like backyard games or beach volleyball, whatever, than professional. There are a few of them that will translate to both. So I just jot down a few, get your guys' opinion, see if you guys had anything else on those. But so they had football, and they got a bunch of them here. One I found, if you're like playing football in a backyard league, the park, at a beach or whatever, you're the quarterback and you throw the ball and somebody drops it. It says you are obligated to give the chest tap. Like my bad. You can't sit there and blame the other guy because you're not Johnny Unitas.
What if he's a klutz and he dropped it?
It says you don't have to throw him the ball again, but you can't sit there and call him out. I don't know.
Are you saying you agree with that or not?
I
Or
just am
just
saying
a rule?
that's a rule. So we can discuss whether you agree with that or not. I agree. I don't think you should call the other guy out in a backyard game. Or let's say you're playing.
But I don't want. It's not my. I threw you the ball.
All right, let's say you're playing. I don't know. I'm just going to pull this example out of nowhere. Let's say you're playing softball, and you're just a bunch of yokels that are out there playing.
They can't win a game.
They can't win a game. This is
Not that we've ever
randomly
experienced
made up
this.
scenario. Let's say somebody hits the ball deep and your outfielder drops it, and the guy playing shortstop decides, you know what?
And the
I'm
pitcher,
a great baseball player. I'm
quarterback.
tired of this. Get in here. You play shortstop.
I'm going to the outfield.
And then the very next ball gets hit the outfield, and you drop it. See, that's the kind of stuff I don't think you can do.
It was funny.
It was funny. Hypothetically.
Hypothetically,
right? Yeah.
yes.
So you think you should call out the guy if he drops the ball. You throw the ball, it hits him in the hands, it drops it. Granted, in
No, I don't
professional,
think you
if it
should
hits
call
him
him
in the
out.
hand.
But I don't think I should tap my chest, say, my bad, on a throw that I threw into your chest.
Mike, how do you feel?
The one thing that hangs me up is the quarterback. Quarterback should be the leader of the team, so you kind of want him to take accountability, even if it's not necessarily always his fault. But at the end of the day, he threw you a ball. You're on the other. You're on the other end. You have to come through on your responsibility. So you know what? I'm going to side with Greg on that one.
Okay.
Now the quarterback can still take accountability. Doesn't mean he's at fault for it though.
Okay. Yeah, and the other thing I'd written down, which we already talked about, is, in a blowout, stop the other team from scoring. The other team should get to score as many times as they get the ball if they want, and you need to stop them or come up with something.
Now, do you think that's the case through all levels of sports, like even little kids?
No, but that's a written rule. That's not an unwritten rule. When we played sports, I'll just speak for me.
I don't know.
When my son was
baseball.
when my son was playing sports and I was
run rule.
coaching, there was like a kill rule. Like
Run
you
rule.
couldn't
Yeah.
even toward in up to 8th through 8th grade. Now in high school, that was a whole different thing. They went and did their own thing. But when I was coaching, like Little League or JFL or whatever, that you could only run the score to a certain point, and then you couldn't keep running the score up. And I think that's fine. Again, it's a written rule. It's not an unwritten rule. And these are kids, not grown men.
Who make millions of dollars.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But I was trying to think, because like when my girls played travel softball, I don't believe there was. I coached both 2 seasons of it, and I don't believe there was a rule other than they might have a 10-run rule after 4 innings. But those first 3 innings, you could get slaughtered. I mean, you could. And a lot of coaches would pull back once they've reached a point of no return where it's like, there's no way on earth they're going to catch up.
And I think that's fine if the coach wants to do that. But if the coach is a jerk and doesn't, I mean, it's kind of on you you got to stop them or get out of there.
Yeah,
I mean,
you got to get those outs.
Again, as a coach, I never would just sit there and run the score up. You know, if we were defeating a team handily, I'd try to play all kinds of kids in different positions, put kids in that never played running back or whatever, like hand him the ball, get the ball.
Nobody ever did that to that hypothetical softball team you were just talking about.
That hypothetical softball team got destroyed every time they went out there. But they took the field every time,
That's
darn
right.
it. Hypothetically. Okay, baseball. I think baseball's probably the worst. There's just so many. The only one I really have is that never mention a no-hitter. It's like, really? How superstitious? Yeah, you're not supposed to mention a no-hitter. Because that's bad luck. I'm like, really?
Who, the guy that threw it? Or
I don't think anyone in the whole is not supposed to mention if there's a no-hitter. That's what it says.
I hear it on the news all the time.
I think at the game or the announcers, they're not supposed to either.
Wow. Never heard of that one.
Baseball's another one where they don't like it if you're still cranking out home runs and you're running the score up. It's like, well, then pitch better. Do better defense.
Yeah, be better.
Yeah. You shouldn't be stealing the base. You're up by 7 runs. You know what? How many times have you seen a rally all of a sudden come up? And it can happen in the 9th inning and the other team scores 9 runs. No. Stop me. Stop me from stealing the base.
One of the baseball stories I've got, just real quick. I'm not a big baseball guy. I can watch it and enjoy it, but it's not one of my preferred sports. But I had seen, I think this is the White Sox, if I recall correctly. I'd seen a story from a few years ago now. One of their players, I mean, I think they were killing some other team, but one of their players hit a home run on a 3-0 count, and he swung, hit a home run. And I think it was even a relief, not even a relief pitcher. Like, it was like one of those guys they put in just for mercy, one of those position players.
Yep.
And the coach at the end of the game was like, you know what, we're going to have a strict talk with him. We cannot be doing that. It's like, from a guy who doesn't watch a lot of baseball and may be interested in watching it, it's like, why are you penalizing your own player for doing well for himself? Maybe he's trying to reach contract incentives. As a baseball fan, you want to watch home runs, right?
Sure.
He hit a home
That's
run.
why we have a home run
regardless.
derby. We don't have a walk derby.
Right.
No.
Yes. Well,
Or
I
a
can't.
strikeout derby.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't swing at this one, and the count's 3-0. Why are you handicapping yourself because the pitcher is bad? And his own coach was chewing him out for it. And it's like, you know what? That doesn't even make me want to watch baseball. Like,
No.
I don't care that the pitcher is bad. He hit a home run. That's exciting for baseball. It's like, no, we can't be doing that. Old school. It's like, okay, I'm out then. I don't want to watch if players are handicapping themselves.
Yeah.
Because unwritten rules or whatever. I just, at that point, it just turns me off. Anyway, that's
Agree.
Side rant.
I agree.
Another one they had a couple in here for swimming that I kind of picked out and thought
Don't drown.
Well, one was they had it a little different. I changed it to wear body appropriate swimwear. If you can't pull off a Speedo, which few can, then don't wear the Speedo. And I will say that for the ladies too. If you can't pull off the 2-piece bikini, then don't. There's plenty of different swimwear. I'm wearing board shorts and a t-shirt. Yes, I'm at the pool and the beach. I'm still wearing a t-shirt. That's just the way it is. I'm doing this for you, basically. Okay, you don't want to see me strolling around with my shirt off. First, you'll be blinded. There's a lot of surface area reflecting that sun back. And the second is, don't pee in the pool.
Okay, now, that one is a written rule. That has to be a written rule.
I would agree with you.
I don't know how you monitor it, but it's a written rule.
Oh, you can monitor. I think you can monitor it, right?
I would hope so.
I don't know. Can you?
Well, don't they have chemicals now where you
That's like
does it detect
It turn
that,
red or something right where you're standing?
I don't know. I don't know.
B-spot! Ah!
So there's the two from swimming.
It's
I don't know if
warm.
you have any for okay. Warm spots in a pool, not good. I don't go to a public pool anyway. I don't swim in a public pool. I don't want to be in a big tub of human broth. It's not my thing.
I like the pool, but
I'm not. I'm uncomfortable.
I'm
with the
just
pool.
putting my faith in those chemicals, man. It's like, do your thing.
Sure, go right ahead. They had a bunch of exercising, going to the gym, exercising.
Yeah,
So
there should be more rules.
There should be, but here are some, and these are some that they wrote, some that I had. They had be willing to help or spot if somebody asks you. I agree. If somebody says, "Hey, man, I'm here. Can you just make sure I can get this back up?" Yeah, sure.
But it's embarrassing when she's benching 100 and I can't pull it up. I mean, it's like
everybody needs help. Everybody needs help. Here's one I have, which I can't stand, which caused me to. Well, I wasn't going to the gym on a regular basis anyway, but it did cause me to quit going because it just frustrates me so bad. Don't monopolize the equipment. You go get a piece of equipment and you sit there. You do your set, and then you want to break, but you sit on the equipment. It's like, no, get up and let me jump in.
I've seen that a lot at Planet Fitness. They'll sit there, look at
On
their
their phone.
It's like,
No, get up. I've went and said, hey, can I jump in between here so I can get mine done?
no.
Well, they'll kind of well, look, you don't own this equipment. Neither do I. So rotate it around. Don't monopolize it. Another thing, wipe down, excuse me, wipe down your equipment when you're done.
But Doug, this is the 7th thing on my circuit.
Yeah.
I'll come back here eventually.
No, you wipe it down every time you walk away from that thing. I do.
I agree.
And another one that drives me nuts is re-rack your weights. When you're done with your weights or whatever, take them off the bar, put them back on the weight rack, put the bar away, put your stuff away, clean up after yourself. You shouldn't have to tell somebody this. Again, common courtesy, but it's gone.
Now I see in here, so Planet Fitness has this rule too about not grunting, and they have the rule here. Tennis rules apply here. Don't grunt, you Neanderthal. And it's like, sometimes you can't help it. If you're trying to push yourself a little bit, I get what they're saying.
I think they're saying like, it's like,
yeah. I mean, I know what they're saying, but it's like sometimes you can't help it.
Here's one that is just recently. Now this,
That 10-pound
again,
dumbbell.
I haven't gone to the gym in a long time. I have, if I lift weights, I've got weights at home and stuff. I'll do that. But this one,
Doug goes
drives me
down to
nuts.
Muscle Beach in his t-shirt.
in Sunnyland down there, Muscle Beach. We lift cinder blocks and
It's like Venice Beach, but in
washing
Illinois.
machines and TVs that's been thrown down the ravine. So we go down in the ravine and lift all the junk
that-
everybody throws down.
All that
in our
concrete down
neighborhood.
there. The scrap metal.
No, but don't bring your phone in there and set it up and do videos at the gym. There's no recording. There should be zero recording at the gym. That should be a camera-free zone, in my opinion. I don't want it. I don't want your camera there. People are there working out. They're trying to get in shape. They don't want to be on your camera. They don't want to do it. And
We
then
had an
don't get
article about that this week.
and don't get offended or upset if somebody's looking. What are you looking? It's like, well, you're doing a whole production here in the gym.
Yeah. Why do you have a ring light next to the machine?
Oh, yeah. Okay, and then there's a few here that I thought were kind of amusing, funny. Just games, miscellaneous games in general. So if you're out playing, let's say bags or beach volleyball or frisbee golf, whatever, you're doing all these. Don't offer no unsolicited help. No one's an expert. Don't get out there. You know what you need to. You're not flicking your wrist enough, Mike. You're not like look. None of us are professionals. We're just out killing some time and enjoying the sunlight. Just let me play the game.
Lori hates when I give her bowling tips. I'll say, move towards your mistake. Go over to the left a little bit. And she's like, don't tell me what to do.
Yep. And then another one I have is you don't need to regale everyone with your glory day stories. I don't know if you've been around people that, like, oh, I remember back in high school, all you do is like, well, what happened? You must have been that good because we're both
now
here
you got
together.
a beer gut.
We're both here together. And I was horrible in high school.
AKA peaked in high school.
Yes. Did you have anything? Were you saying something, Mike? I didn't want to cut you off.
No.
Oh. And then I got a couple as far as if you're a spectator. So you go to a sporting event or a music concert, whatever.
The Peanut Gallery.
The Peanut Gallery. Here's one. If you're leaving and you knock somebody's drink or food over, I think you're obligated to replace that for them, bring them back something. That's just my opinion. Again, common courtesy, unwritten rule.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys feel about that one. I would
fair.
do it.
Yeah, I'm
Fair.
up for the common courtesy.
And we've encountered this one. If you're at a concert or whatever, and maybe you've been imbibing, or maybe it's just hot, and you get sick, you need to leave.
Yes, you do not throw up on
You need
yourself.
to go clean up, and then maybe you can stay, maybe, but you just stay out in case you get sick again. You don't come back to your seat. You stay, stand off into the back or something, but you got to go. You can't stand there. I don't know. Thoughts on that? Those were the two that I had that I came up with.
I think that's fair.
I think there should be some rule, and maybe they need to be written rules about, like, not when you buy your ticket, especially if they're floor seats or something, they should sell them in order by height as well. So all the short people down front working up to the larger people.
Yeah.
I always wind up behind, some 6'5" dude with an afro that I cannot see over.
Yeah. I'm short, so I'm only 5'7.5" or 5'7". So
Yeah, I've gotten where I don't even go to concerts where it's, risk of that happening.
Yeah, it's tough when you're behind somebody tall.
Well, it just destroys the whole, even because you're not only dealing with their height, you're dealing with them with their arms extended, holding their phone up over their head too.
Yep.
So they can take.
Or back in the day, we also
concert.
had to deal with women's hair being huge.
Yeah, big hair.
The woman could be 5'3", but her hair's going to go out another extra 8 inches. Like, geez, I can't see.
Got the Marge Simpson look.
Yes.
They had some big hair in the 80s.
All right. Well, I came across you guys don't know. I don't want to move on unless you're done. All right. I came across another article where a woman has got a disability that she is upset that her employer is not doing more to help her cope with this. And actually, I think it's a prospective employer, but it was hard to tell because it was saying that she was in an interview, but then it was saying her coworker was telling her stuff. So I didn't get.
Yeah, I couldn't tell
what was
which perspective
going
it
on.
was from.
But have you ever heard of time blindness? She has time blindness. And I found this is in health.com because I was like, what is this? It says time blindness is if a person is unable to recognize when time has passed or you frequently lose track of time. You may be experiencing time blindness. People with time blindness also find it difficult to meet deadlines, arrive at events or appointments on time, or transition to a different task. So we've got time blindness out there. Now, I'm not saying that
Miller
people
write a song about that. Time keeps on slipping,
into the future.
slipping.
Into the future. Yes, it does.
Yes.
But so she is upset about this. I'm going to try to play her interview. We're going to see if this is going to work or not. We'll see.
So I just got yelled at for asking a very reasonable question. So I'm applying to go somewhere, and I just wanted to know, are there accommodations for people who struggle with time blindness and being on time, And then the person I was with interrupted and acted like I was asking something else. And then when we were done, they actually started yelling at me and saying that accommodations for time blindness doesn't exist. And if you struggle with being on time, you'll never be able to get a job.
I hope there's no cursing.
Provided you're trying your absolute best to be there. And then they're like, your stupid generation wants to destroy the workplace. And yeah, I think that a culture where workers are just cut off because they struggle with being on time, when there's other solutions that we can look to, I think that just anybody who thinks it's okay to just treat people like that, yeah, that culture needs to be dismantled. And then I asked that person, how can you feel good about yourself upholding this kind of system? And then to think I'm entitled. No, if people think it's okay to treat others like this, that's entitlement.
See, if I was a quarterback and threw her the ball,
it would be her fault. Okay, I'm trying to look at this from because I'm immediately put off by it. But I'm like, okay, let's try to look at it from all sides. And I do know people who struggle with this, and it can be irritating and frustrating for them. I mean, I get it. I understand that it could be difficult. So I'm trying to be a little more understanding, but look at it with all aspects. So did you have anything you want to?
My gripe is my initial gripe I always have with these things. Let's go to TikTok and put this out there. That's why nobody has to know.
Well, Greg, you can get clout from having time blindness.
I know.
You want people to feel bad for you, Greg. So you have to.
I've got time blindness glasses I wear that help me out.
See, my initial thought of this is this is, and this is probably going to get some pushback, but this is just the way I feel. And I could be wrong, but it seems like it's selfish or even some lazy, like she can't get to these things. And I'm not saying she's doing it on purpose, but I'm just saying maybe it comes across as, I don't care as much about Mike's day as I do. I struggle. I can't get there, Mike. I know that you were there on time and had to wait for me for 35 minutes, but it's not my fault. It's time blindness' fault. That's my first thought, just initially. And the second thing is, why does she think that the employer needs to provide her accommodations for this?
Yeah.
I mean, they don't provide extra accommodations necessarily for other, like real blindness. Do they give them a cane or a seeing eye dog? Or if someone is in a wheelchair, do they, they put in ramps, elevators? Okay. But they don't give them the wheelchair or a walker to get around. Or if they're deaf, maybe she needs a service animal, like a dog. Maybe a watchdog. Did I do this whole segment just so I could get in a really bad dad joke? Maybe.
Boy.
Maybe.
My question is, do you think she has any problem with that same blindness at the end of the day when it's time to go home?
That's a good question. Maybe she works till 9 o'clock and doesn't even realize it.
Because if she's doing that, okay. Yeah, you're having a little trouble with this. We can make that work.
See, and I would say her employer probably has put like clocks on the wall. They probably have computers that she has to use that has a clock, a calendar. You have a phone that has a clock, a calendar. There are apps you can get because people do struggle with it. There are apps you can get that you can set timers. There's apps you can get to set up schedules to keep you on task managers. All this stuff is available.
Yeah.
And
or
if
tell
you
her
know
the workday starts at 7 when it really starts at 8.
Yeah. And if
Then
you
she'll be
know
there on
ahead
time.
of time that you struggle with this, it seems like it's on you to try to do things to accommodate your employer. Because it's not just him. Like I said, there's coworkers that are involved that you're going to impact negatively.
Not even just coworkers, but potentially clients as well. And
perfect.
You can't run a business if you don't have clients.
I'm glad
Happy clients.
I had that down as well. Yeah, people count on you. You could miss deadlines, which will cost deals, which will cost the company money, your employer. You're costing them money now. So why should they go above and beyond because you can't get there on time? Now, some of this, what she says, is fine. If you don't want to have a job that you work 9 to 5, okay, there's plenty of jobs.
Yeah.
You don't have to work that. But again, that's on you. That's not your employer catering to your needs. Maybe you need to find a job that's not as rigid. Say, hey, I struggle with this. I need to find something that I can get out there and do that doesn't have those stringent timelines.
Well, yeah, and depending on the size of the company, if you got in a bigger company, hundreds to thousands of people, and you try to cater to every one of their problems, that's all you're going to be doing.
Do you think she would have time blindness if I told her I have $100,000 in cash I want to give to you Wednesday at 11:37 as long as you're not late? You're here at 11:37 on Wednesday. Could she get there and get that 100,000? Or would she be time blind and just
I don't know.
and I would keep my 100,000?
Yep.
I'd say at most time people, anybody, and myself included, if you're motivated enough, I can do things. It's what's important to you. The more important things are, the more motivated you are to get that done or to make sure that I'm there on time. I have it processed or whatever. I get my deadlines in, get my project done on time, whatever. If I'm motivated for that. If I'm not, then maybe I can let that one slip a little bit.
Yeah. And again, we're looking at one. I think there are exceptions to every rule. And I think, there are people who struggle with things like this. And then then you work things out as best you can. But I don't think it's the common, everyday person. I mean, not everybody can have this.
And again, if you struggle, that's on you. You need to figure that out. If I have a disability, I got to try to figure out. I don't expect the world to switch everything just for me. It's like, no.
I expect them to, but they don't.
No one has ever switched anything for me. It's like, let's make it harder for Doug. Let's do this. Like, come on. So, I don't know. Did you have anything else before we moved on?
I don't think so.
Mike? Okay. The next one is similar, kind of related. That's why I kind of lumped all these in. But there's a debate now. Millennial sparks a debate over Gen X managers treatment of a fragile Gen Z employee. So
I love how they have to preemptively call him the fragile Gen Z employee.
Yeah. Says the internet is divided over whether Gen X doesn't know how to manage Gen Z or whether the younger employees just are not cut out for the workforce. I'll let you guys make that decision, or maybe we'll make it by the end of this. I don't know. Says millennial boss Rachel Lynch took to TikTok to detail her recent experience at a sandwich shop where a Gen Z teenager was reportedly berated by her older boss. Lynch said that she placed an order with the young waitress. 15 minutes later, admitted she had forgotten the order. She said the boss starts yelling at her and the Gen Zer began crying and panicking. While she said that neither party was in the wrong, Lynch believes that the bosses shouldn't react as harshly to their young staff members. So, just from hearing that right there, first off, yelling a lot of times does not accomplish anything.
Nope.
I will give you that. But I will also say that sometimes that is brought out of frustration. This could be the 17th order today that this person has messed up. And it's like, listen, I'm not going to keep telling you the same thing over and over. You need to get it down. Now, if it is her first time, or his first time, it doesn't say, and you go in and your first initial response is, I'm just going to start screaming and yelling, that is not a good boss. You cannot just yell and scream at your employees and make them do whatever they want or whatever you want them to do, because most of the time there's going to be resentment or pushback, or they're just not going to listen to you. Again, yelling doesn't make you the boss. And there should be ways to communicate better. Now, I can understand you getting frustrated, though. So, did you guys have, I have other things, but I don't want to monopolize.
I think as a boss, you should do everything in your power not to do it in front of customers.
Perfect. That's exactly right. Never.
Go in the back,
Yep.
talk to them again if you have to. If it's to the point you got to send them home. But, yeah, I don't think you should do it in front of customers.
Yep. Did you have?
Oh, good points. But, I mean, there's a time. I had seen a quote, something along the lines of good leaders never yell or raise a whatever. I don't quite disagree with that. I think there's a time and place, and Greg outlined some of that, where not to do that. I think there's a time and place for it, though. It can be effective.
What's that, to raise your voice?
Raise your voice, yell.
But do you think in front of customers?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm completely agree with you there. Like I said, time and place.
Okay.
Time and place.
Yeah, gotcha.
It has a purpose, it has value, I think, if done right. Like if I was thinking back to when we were playing football, maybe we were getting crushed. You know, it's like, hey, let's pull it together. You know, like let's right the ship here, like collectively.
Yep.
Obviously, hey guys, let's try to do better. Like that doesn't work after a certain point. So let's try something different. You know, maybe we need a message to be sent, and maybe you don't like doing it. Maybe it's they don't like hearing it, but maybe it has to be said. I don't know. I think, time and place, but
True.
I wouldn't rule it out completely.
Yes. And some people are more at, like, going back to football, and my son, when I coached.
Some people learn that way. They respond that way.
Sometimes I was head coach. Sometimes I was just assistant. We had a guy I was good friends with who was head coach, and he was a yeller and screamed, and a lot of the parents didn't like him. The kids loved him because he wasn't yelling like derogatory things. He was yelling like to get his point across.
And it's not like, somebody wouldn't necessarily do it because they hate the person. Like, the boss may not hate or have resentment or anger towards this person, but maybe they just need to hear it in a different way. Maybe something isn't clicking, and maybe she doesn't have malice behind it necessarily, but that's just how she's trying to deliver the message.
Yeah. Now, I was not a yeller, but I would be stern and forceful. It was like I wasn't I'm like, bump, bump, you're going to do this, and there were consequences, and I was like, if I said something, no, that's the way. If I told if I told a kid, do this, they don't do it, you're sitting down, sit the rest of the game, we'll lose. I don't care. I mean, I do, but I told you that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I was very even keeled as a coach. Surprise. Except for called third strikes. Those things I'd almost yell at the girls. I was like, it's close enough for him to call a strike. It's close enough for you to swing at. Why are you standing there?
I imagine Greg's team after the game. And Greg's like, come on, we got the gripe. Come here. We're going to gripe. These third strikes are killing us.
Oh, we were at my grandson's game this weekend, and he took a call third strike. I told Megan, go over and tell him he's grounded.
Yeah. A few more things, and then we'll wrap this up. Lynch said that you need to learn to work with younger people, especially in different generations. Gen Z is more soft, more fragile. They want to work more collaboratively. You can't just effing yell at them. That doesn't help them. Now, I will say that some of that is true, but I think Gen Z also needs to learn how to be a better worker, and they don't seem to be willing to do that. And some people aren't willing to learn how to be a better manager. And some people, like Mike was saying, sometimes you can't treat every person the same. If you're a good manager, what is going to motivate this person? Some people don't respond to yelling. Some respond to a kick in the rear end, like, boom, get this done. Some don't. And you got to figure that out and treat them differently a lot of times.
My problem with when we bring up collectively all the Gen Z.
I was going to say the same thing.
When we bring up the Gen Z stories, my problem is, when does it become a two-way street? Why is it always that we have to accommodate one side when that side doesn't accommodate back the other way?
I agree.
When is it fair to ask for both ways? Like when is it fair to ask that?
Yeah.
That's about all I can say. I mean,
well, and we split. I mean, I don't know. I wonder what the percentages are. You know, we kind of rip on Gen Z or whatever. You think it's 90% of their employees act like this, or do you think it's?
Well, we read so many stories
because I see when I'm out and about. Sometimes I'll see an excellent employee who's that age or whatever.
Yeah, it's not all of them. We're painting with a broad brush.
Yeah, we are, and I think people understand that. I mean, it's not. There are good people that at jobs.
But it seems to be more
there seems
than
to be
not.
A lot, though.
60-40, if we're being generous.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. I tell you what, I've got 3 comments here. I'll just read those that other people have commented in, and then I'll let you guys respond. We'll wrap this up. But one says, I'm an elder millennial manager with a lot of Gen Z staff. They are an awful, entitled generation with no work ethic or common sense. They need yelling at sometimes. Fight me. That's what it said. So that was one comment. Another one, Gen Z have a sense of unwarranted entitlement and get peed off when people call them out. But there were some people, excuse me. There were some people on their side. One person wrote in and says, I remember being young, lacking resilience too, and crying at work and other silly things. I think it just takes time to build confidence, not necessarily a generation thing. So some of this, I'm going to say, a lot of this Gen Z stuff, this goes on the parents. This stuff should be taught at home at a very young age with a child. You don't let them just go off and not listen to you, not pay any attention.
Give them no responsibility.
I've seen TikTok videos of a little kid, and they're blatantly, like 2 years old, blatantly disobeying their parents, taking stuff. This one kid was taking things out of a drawer and just throwing them on the floor. And they're like, Tabitha, no. And she's like, no. And so on something. They're like, it's like, that right there, you stop it at that point. That's where you stop saying, no, we're not going to do that. In fact, we're going to pick these up. And if they throw a fit, like, no. And you physically grab them and you have them grab it and put things back in the drawer. And then you go sit them in timeout. This all starts at the age of 1. It shouldn't start at age 17 where I got to try to, correct 17 years of bad parenting nowadays so that you can take an order for a hamburger, which is a lot of times what's happening at different locations. You're the manager, but you're having to try to correct bad parenting that is, 17 years in the making.
Well, and then that also, it should be the parents' problem, but what happens is it becomes it's society's problem.
Yes, it is.
So a lot of this, it could have been avoided, I think, in the first place, which is all the more frustrating. But and that's
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
That point, I had actually thought about that earlier. I'm glad you brought that up, Doug. But she probably cried because it's the first time she's ever faced any sort of adversity like that in her entire life.
Very
probably didn't know how to respond.
Probably not.
Because she's like, well, I made a mistake. But like you said, that could have been X number of mistake already today or this week or whenever. And at a certain point, it's like we gotta take some we gotta do some learning here. And I've learned some hard lessons at work over the course of my professional years, which they aren't always pleasant, but I learned and adapted and moved on. But yeah, it's probably the first time she ever faced anything like that.
I've learned more from messing up than doing something correctly. It's like you said, not fun. Not fun at all.
Well, I was going to say, and I think they've been given more material. Material stuff is more available now than when we were young, for sure.
For sure.
We just didn't have the stuff. I mean, it just wasn't there. There were no cell phones. There were no video games. So yeah, the boomers in me's talking. But when you get, at 6 years old and the kid's got a cell phone or they've got a video game system or they've been given a lot. And then it's like you said, they haven't been told no. Then when they get out in the real world and they face adversity and somebody says no the first time, they don't know how to cope. Sorry, that's kind of repeating what you said, but.
And work and employment to them doesn't mean nothing anymore. And I think some of that is to do because we're kind of living in a cashless society. They don't even understand money. It's just I have an app, I hit the button, and food shows up at the door or whatever. They don't know. Like you were saying, I had to go to work, get a check, go to the bank, cash it, get that money in my hand, and then I could go do stuff with it.
Which I loved. When we got, you remember that? When we got our first electronic payroll and they deposited directly in our accounts? I fought it for a long time and they finally made us. Yeah, I hated it.
I think I was one of the last holdouts and they made us.
Give me my check. I want to go to the bank on Friday afternoon. I want to deposit it. I love it. There was way something more convenient, about that.
Yes, to do it this way. But,
sure.
But there was something. Because it felt like I was tangible. Just getting a note from my employer like, here, Doug did good this week. Here's his allowance. Like,
well, Doug's, they put a gold star on when he did good.
I did. I've got 2 out of 28 years, 2 gold stars. But
yeah, so I don't know.
Another unwritten rule, there should be no crying at work. No, unless you drop something heavy on yourself or, if you get a call that some family member died. Okay. Other than that, I don't want, there's no crying. No crying at work. I've worked at a couple different places, and people are having a meltdown and crying. I'm like, come on, you can't do this. You can't cry about just because something's going horribly wrong. And I've had some things go horribly wrong, and I got yelled at and cussed at by a customer and everything. But maybe I should cry. Maybe that would help. Maybe I get a raise.
You get 2 gold stars.
Ooh. So anyway. Again, I'm not trying to just bust on Gen Z all the time, but get it together, Gen Z. Stop crying. We're just kidding. Get a sense of humor. All right.
Yeah, like us boomers and...
That's right. So let's see. I ripped on, Gen X is too yelly. Gen Z doesn't know how to work. Millennials are bad parents. Made a bunch of sexist comments. So, yeah, I think we checked everything off the list.
Good. Call good for this week.
Yeah, we're good. All right, you guys got anything else?
I don't think so.
All right. Hey, thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We do appreciate it. Relax. Take a deep breath. Don't get offended by things. Get out there and get after it. Get to work. Life is short. So make sure you check out all of our social media feeds, YouTube and Rumble and anything else. We'll try to throw different videos out there from time to time. And we hope you're tuning in 7 days. Until then, see ya.
Later.
Peace.
Well, that wraps up another episode. Thanks for listening. Please be sure to subscribe. And you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.